Biden's false prophets. That's the focus of tonight's angle. In the New Testament book of Matthew, Christ warns that we should beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Well, in politics and in the media, there are plenty of false prophets who try to sell you on policies that just end up delivering ruin instead of results. Enter the New York Times. Over the weekend, it published an editorial called, "Let's Talk About Higher Wages." Well, here's their theme. The nation and the Democratic Party desperately needs a replacement for the tired story that tax cuts drive economic growth. But when you read on in the editorial, you see that the geniuses at the Times have no clue about what should happen next. Here's their conclusion. The nation's laws, social norms, and patterns of daily life have all been revised in recent decades to facilitate the suppression of wage growth. Well, exactly, but that's what we populists have been telling you for the last 10 years. The question is what to do about it. And the New York Times' only practical suggestion is that we begin by telling better stories about the way the economy works. Thanks, New York Times. I'm sure beleaguered workers everywhere this time of year are going to run to your website and pore over every twisted tale you tell. Now, what's remarkable about this editorial is that the words President Trump appear nowhere in it. And of course, one of the main reasons President Trump was elected is that working class Americans trusted him to strengthen the economy and improve conditions for them. Furthermore, in this first term, he succeeded.
This blows away expectations.
This is the best number I've ever seen in my life. You can't contradict that these are the best numbers of our lives.
USMCA, historic trade agreement, getting support from both Democrats and Republicans.
How significant, Minister, is this deal, not just for the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain and Israel, for that matter, but for the region?
It's pretty significant. In fact, it's historic. A new narrative, a narrative of hope and a narrative of prosperity.
Well, the Times complains about wage stagnation. Well, but those complaints are out of date. As we've told you many times, real median household income in the United States grew by $6,000 from 2016 to 2019. Now, forgive me for actually dealing in facts tonight. In 2019, median weekly earnings of full-time workers increased by 4%. So we don't need better stories about wages. We just need to study the policies that we pursued under President Trump and understand why they worked. Now, lucky for us, it only takes a basic understanding of Econ 101 to explain the success of America First policies. Now, for starters, wages are the price that businesses pay for labor, right? Well, like any other price, wages are determined by the law of supply and demand. So if you want wages to increase, you should start by encouraging demand. That means keeping taxes low and eliminating unnecessary regulations. President Trump and the Republicans in Congress encouraged American businesses to hire more workers. That's good, but that's not enough, which is why President Trump restricted the supply of labor. He used tariffs and trade policies that were smart to make it harder for companies to shift jobs offshore. And by enforcing immigration laws, putting tighter controls on work visas, President Trump made it harder for businesses to drive down wages for American workers by just flooding the market with immigrants. These policies were extremely successful. That wasn't in the New York Times editorial. Now, by February 2020, the last month before the pandemic hit, the U.S. unemployment rate was only 3.5%. Now, unfortunately, Biden and his globalists will take us in the opposite direction. Now, Janet Yellen, Biden's choice as Treasury Secretary, was the head of the Federal Reserve for 4 years under Obama, and there's no reason to believe that she's not going to follow the same game plan that Biden advocated during the campaign, which is higher taxes, more regulation, and a greater hostility toward business, certainly that we've seen in the push for lockdowns, etc. Now, on the other hand, there's going to be huge giveaways to unscrupulous companies that prefer not to pay a decent wage to Americans. Because under Biden, it's going to be easier to offshore jobs and then use illegal labor to fill the holes. Thus, they will kill the demand for American labor. So the average American worker ends up getting shafted again under Biden's rules. Now, Biden's pick to head OMB, you've heard a lot about her tonight, Neera Tanden. She claimed that rising income inequality was the consequence of decades of conservative attacks on workers' rights to organize, and that labor unions are a powerful vehicle to move workers into the middle class and keep them there. Okay, I have a question for Ms. Tanden. What happens when a union goes to management and demands a pay raise? Well, what happens then when management says, okay, we're going to move our company to India then. Bye. Of course, the focus on income inequality is foolish. Building up the middle class, as Trump did, is the way to go. And by the way, even if you believe in their stated goal of income inequality, you don't help bridge the income inequality by hammering the middle class, which exactly is what's happening in places like California and New York.
People say, I don't like the restrictions, I have COVID fatigue. How can you say I shouldn't have more than 10 people in your house? This is where the spread is coming from.
More restrictions placed on you, more businesses now vulnerable to being out of business permanently.
Well, given their liberal leadership and super Democrat majorities, these states, forget COVID, push COVID aside for a moment. These should be workers' paradises, right? But even before the pandemic, before all those talks of lockdowns and restrictions, people were fleeing New York and California. The middle class is virtually non-existent in the big cities in both states. There's the rich, and then there's everyone else. Now check out the exit polls among those who said the economy was the most important issue to them. 82% of those voters went for Trump. Well, these voters were just fed up with the old trade deals, the old policies that gave away the store to places like Europe and China. Of course, Biden is going to push the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and that's just designed to make it easier for multinational companies to lay off workers here and then shift their production to places like Vietnam, Malaysia, and of course, China. The 74 million Americans who voted for President Trump already know this. Now we have to take that message to the working class people all across the country. Oh, and all of you voters in Georgia, I hope you understand what's at stake here. By sending Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue back to Washington, you will send a powerful message to D.C. Return to the failed policies of the past, and we will block you in the Senate and fight you every step of the way. Under Biden's team of false prophets, which is really just the old Obama team, the rich will get richer as the working people get stiffed once again with stagnating wages. And I think more and more Americans in all 50 states will be interested in learning about why incomes soared under President Trump. Republicans running in 2022 and 2024, they have an easy answer. We know what works. Elect us, and we'll do it all over again. And that's the angle.